Hi everyone, I hope that you're all well. First of all, the Maths department would like to say a huge well done for those of you that have been accessing My Maths and working through the lessons and then submitting your online homework on there. We are still going to be setting homework on My Maths, so all the work that's on My Maths is still going to be continuing, and then these recorded lessons are going to be helping those online homework, so they're going to work alongside each other. Please remember, if any of you don't have your login details, just email me at the top of this study zone for maths. My email address is there, so just pop me an email and I can get your personal username and password to you. The first topic that we're going to be looking at is going to be averages. So this recap lesson then is firstly going to be looking at the different types of data that we can have. So they're the learning objectives for us. We're going to try and understand the terms qualitative, quantitative, discrete and continuous, big words. So let's have a look at the difference between qualitative and quantitative data. So qualitative data uses words. So if you had a questionnaire that was asking people what their favourite food was, they'd give a word as an answer, such as pizza. Quantitative data uses numbers. So any question that would require the answer to be a number. So for example here, how many brothers and sisters have you got? The answer would be 3. That's a number. So that is quantitative data. So qualitative data is words, quantitative data uses numbers. Now within quantitative data, you also have two types. So you have discrete and continuous. So both of these are numbers. So if we look at discrete data, that data can be counted. So when we had the example of how many brothers and sisters have you got, the answer is 3. So you count the amount of brothers and sisters you have, and it's 3, and it's that exact number, for example. Continuous data is measured. So for example here, if you were asking how tall somebody was, they'd measure themselves and they may say 165 centimetres. So that is continuous data. If you were to weigh yourselves, that's measuring your weight. That would also be continuous data. Okay, let's have a look at an example then. So here it says Mark is preparing for his French speaking exam. He writes out what he wants to say in English first, and then if you just take a moment to read this paragraph for me, please. I hope some of you noticed the spelling error. Blonde should have an E at the end of it, but that's a spelling error by My Maths, not me. Okay, so what they want you to do is to look at the highlighted words that are in pink and numbers. How many of these are examples of qualitative data? So that's words, discrete data, so that's numbers that we can count, and then continuous data, so that's numbers that are measured. Okay, so my name is Mark. So Mark is a word, so that would be qualitative data. And I am 15 years old. I have blonde hair, so that's a word, so that's qualitative data. And green eyes, that's a word, so qualitative data. And I am 170 centimetres tall. That's a measurement, a number, so that's continuous data. My favourite sport is football. That's a word, qualitative data. Last season, I scored 7 goals. That's a number, that's a number that we can count, so that's discrete data. For my team, most days I get the bus to school, so that's a word, so that's qualitative data. But I try to walk 1 day a week. That's a number, but that's a number that we can count, so that's discrete data. Okay, so here then, qualitative data, there's 5 examples of that. Discrete data, there's 2 examples of that. And continuous data, there's 1 example of continuous data there. So we've been through an example. Next up then, a chance for you to try out an exercise. So what I'd like you to do is to pause the video, take a few moments to try out and distinguish which type of data are each of these 3 exercise questions here, and then when you're ready to mark your answer, press play and I'll be going through the answers with you. Okay then, so we have to state whether or not each of these variables is qualitative, discrete or continuous. So the language spoken by the holiday makers in a camp. So a language, you could have French, you could have Spanish, etc. They are words. So remember, qualitative data is words. So we would tick that. The number of male students in a class, you'd count the amount of students. So when we're counting, that is discrete. And then the number of sweet wrappers in the cars in a car park, you'd count the amount of sweet wrappers. So that would be discrete data. So just going through these, remember qualitative data are words, discrete data are numbers that we can count, and continuous data are numbers that are measured. So that's the end of our recap lesson on types of data. So what I'd like you now to do is to visit mymaths.co.uk. We have got a school username and password, so you need to log in using those, and then you all have your own individual My Portal login details. Now if you don't have these for any reason, can you please email me? My email is at the top of the study zone for maths. And I can email you your own individual username and passwords then. So we're going to be looking at types of data linked to this lesson. Now you will need to look through the lesson because we've looked at qualitative and quantitative data, but I'd also like you to click on 3 and to look at how data can also be categorized by how it has been collected, so primary data, etc. So I'd like you to continue to work through this lesson. It is interactive, so they are good, and then what I'd like you to do at the end of that is to go back and try out the online homework. Now, a few things with this. If you notice here, this is very similar to the exercise that we did in the lesson, and then question 2 is linked to the continuation of the lesson on My Maths. Now, what you will need to do is to mark it and make sure that you do click save as well, please. Good luck. I hope you enjoyed these lessons, and remember, if we can help in any way, please give us an email, either myself or your maths teacher. Thank you.